or the other. And I'm not going to waste more time. I'm going to get my guest on. He needs no introduction. He has been writing on cinema, and his book, Irfan, the Man, the Dreamer, and the Star, is on the bestsellers list. So I am inviting my guest, the one and only. So, well, we'll just be connected in a bit. Hello, sir.
Hi, don't call me sir, yeah, please.
अरे यार, चलो ठीक है. हेलो असीम, कैसा चल रहा है?
बिल्कुल ठीक चल रहा है.
और बारिश हो रही है आपके यहाँ?
बारिश अभी हो तो नहीं रही, but it's cloudy, it's lovely, looks beautiful.
It's like the
Yeah.
ऋषि कपूर song, क्या मौसम है, वो गाने का मन कर रहा है.
क्या मौसम है exactly.
This past week, I mean the 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, it was just as if someone was playing a bad joke. But have you realized they touched our lives? It's like everyone's dealing with it as if it's a personal loss.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is that we knew both of them won well for a while now. Irfan, we kept hoping after he came back to India and he shot Lazy Medium that hopefully he was getting better, but there was really not much word, and there was not much positive news. Rishi came back from New York after almost a year-long treatment in September, and he was seen at events, at parties. I've seen videos of his, being Rishi Kapoor, his usual self. First of all, it's like there's some game that universe is playing with us, that they were gone, one day apart. It just, we all need to mourn, but it happened so fast that the shock is still not, hasn't left us really.
I so agree with you. And that image of them from Nikhil Advani's movie, D-Day.
Yes, yes.
Who would have thought taking a drive? I mean, that picture has become so poignant, taking a drive like up the stairway of heaven.
Yeah. That film, by the way, is fantastic. I think D-Day is a really underrated film. It didn't do very well at the box office. I'd seen it before. I remember going to a theater in New Jersey to see it because it was not released in Manhattan. But then I saw it again when I started writing the book on Irfan, and I interviewed Nikhil for the book also. It's a very, very strong, powerful film, and the characters that they play, and also Arjun Rampal's in it, and Huma Qureshi. I think everyone should see D-Day, really, to see the whole ensemble cast, and especially these two.
Let us start with Rishi Kapoor first. When you wrote, I was reading your article, your obituary, your tribute to him, saying how you asked your mom to knit that Bobby scarf. Bobby was released a year after I was born. So we had the LP where Hum Tum Ek Kamre Mein Band Ho, that little me also jived to it. So somewhere he's touched all our lives for the ones who grew up in the 70s and 80s, And then I remember meeting him and he told me my second innings were the best. मैं कब तक 1, 2, 3 मास मिर्ची की ताल पर नाचता रहता. So
I didn't watch Bobby today the whole day. I have like half an hour of the film left.
Oh. How many times have we all seen Bobby and it just remains timeless?
Yeah, I was in 1973. I was still in school, and I remember like putting a lot of pressure on my dad because so he could get tickets and we could all go, and we went to Eros in Jangpura to see it. I very, very vivid memories of seeing that film, and then yes, I made my mother knit that scarf because I thought it was. But then I wore it to school one day, and these kids laughed at me because it was very long, and I just stopped wearing it after that.
Oh. And like, with Bobby also, he says he became an actor by default because he said after Mera Naam Joker, with the financial crisis that Raj Kapoor had to go through, he said he didn't need a siapa of finding a hero. He found the heroine, but the hero of the movie was Dimple. But stardom came to him de facto because she got married soon after. So,
yeah.
In a nutshell, Rishi, before D-Day, his career is divided into two parts. You had from Bobby to Divana, and then you had the movies like Do Duni Char, you had D-Day, you had Mulk, and you had Agnipath.
Yeah, Agnipath, fantastic, yeah.
Exactly. So how would you look back at his career and describe?
No, I think it's really interesting that, the same thing happened with Amitabh Bachchan to some regard also, because Amitabh Bachchan, after this long innings through the 70s and 80s and then early 90s when his career was completely crashing, and then there was this a new Amitabh Bachchan was created. We realized that he couldn't sing and dance anymore, and he went to basically to Yash Chopra and said, "Can you give me a role?" And Mohabbatein was created for Amitabh Bachchan. The same thing sort of happened with Rishi also, where and so Amitabh had paved that way that the Hindi film industry could then accept a very well-known movie star who could then become a character actor, but a major character actor, not just a supporting thing. I mean, in several films with Amitabh and then with Rishi also, that solely rested on them. I mean, you talk about Do Duni Char, it's completely Rishi and Neetu are the leads. So I think it's fantastic what happened to Rishi also, that he, I think Rishi himself also discovered within him, and then these young directors were able to write these fabulous roles for him. I had lunch with Rishi. The first time I met Rishi actually was in early spring of 2011. I had lunch with him at the Royal China restaurant in Bandra, and they had just done the look test of Agnipath, the character he plays. So he had it on his cell phone, and he showed it to me. And of course, it was one of those secrets that I couldn't take it as a journalist as such. But he was very proud of the fact that look, how I've totally transformed into this as from the Rishi that we knew him from Bobby and Rapu Chakkar and Khel Khel Mein, and all the other films, Dusra Aadmi. So I think as Rishi got this chance, but I think he thrived on it also. He loved working with younger people. He loved the fact that people were able to see an actor in him, which actually not many people saw when he was younger. I mean, Chandni se kara usne waise role kare, but the Sagar, for instance, but they were never still this kind of solid roles that he was doing now.
Which is true. And also Rishi Kapoor back in the day was the time of the angry young man. He usually was a younger sibling to Mr. Bachchan. Mr. Bachchan did all the fighting while Rishi romanced the heroines. And I mean, Dusra Aadmi was a film way ahead of its time back in the day, but his roles were always that of the lover boy. And one never saw Rishi Kapoor pounding the punches. He danced and he jived. So he created a space for himself also amongst the angry young man and kutte mein tera khoon pee jaunga, Dharmendra.
No, I think it's really interesting. I mean, actors like Rishi Kapoor and Shashi also, for instance, they sort of grew up under the shadow. Shashi had been an actor much before, under this giant shadow of Amitabh Bachchan. And yet they were given a lot of space. I mean, the good thing was that the late 70s and then the 70s and the 80s saw all these multi-star cast films. So if Rishi was not playing the lead role or Shashi was not playing the lead role, Rishi could continue to shine at least. It wasn't like, and that's why he and Amitabh really were very close. I mean, there were some awkward moments in their friendship, but, Amitabh was quite affected by his passing away also. But I think it has to do with the film industry itself that has slowly recognized that, there were actors like Rishi Kapoor who could no longer be considered just Raj Kapoor's son. There was a lot more that Rishi Kapoor had to offer to the industry, and he took off. I mean, the producers and directors saw something in him. Of course, he always had the Kapoor name. He had the Kapoor look, But I think the industry also started changing as these actors emerged. So,
which is true, and I think the second innings is what, as he also said, gave him his due. He says, pehle he was just like, main bheed mein tha, and the audience are far more forgiving then. Like, they all narrated the Amar Akbar Anthony incident, like, teen bhai ek saath maa ko khoon de rahe. Jise agar koi abhi karega, to usko ek chaped padegi. But he also was very vocal. He said things. He said, like, songs these days don't have a shelf life. It's no longer a collaborative effect. So, he also was very open about, and he knew a lot about cinema.
They also vocal. Rishi Kapoor was very opinionated, and he was never shy to speak his mind. I mean, some of it came from the fact that at a very young age itself, especially with Bobby, he got this stardom overnight. Although I was reading someplace that one of the film immediately after Bobby, he came in some film that bombed, that didn't do well, and it sort of brought him down again. But anyway, it was his personality. He just would speak his mind, and you know, but he was a lovable guy. He was always lovable. I mean, I only know Rishi as you know, by the time he had reached his mid to late 50s as such. There was no malice in his heart. He would say things very clearly. If he didn't like something, he would just say it. I remember there was a controversy between Rishi and Rishi started this controversy with Nawaz because Nawaz's career was taking off, and Rishi made some statement like, "How can you become a star without having an actor, without singing and dancing around the trees?" And it's true. I mean, there was that rite of passage for these actors in the 60s, 70s, and even before that in 80s. But Nawaz was from a different era, and you could, you know, the industry was able to. It was a little difficult for Rishi to understand how these new people were emerging. So he would say whatever would come to his mind.
Which is very, very, very true for him. And also, as he said, na, "Bad se badnaam bura." He was telling Taapsee and me when we went to Mulk, "Tu ladkiyan mujhe bully karke mere ko badnaam kar rahi ho." But he was this lovable Punjabi guy, and if he knew you were scared of him, then he would ping you more to, you know. But he's always been very affectionate, always responded to my messages. And now I'm just revisiting Qarz and Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi over and over again. And I honestly, the first time I think I broke down was when Shami Kapoor died, because his last interview was to me. And I met Rishi last for Mulk. But I just felt a part of my childhood died. When I knew he would go someday, but I thought he had, you know, basically, I mean, come out victorious. He defeated cancer.
You know what's interesting is that we start to mourn. You know, I knew Rishi fairly well. If I would text him or something like that. In fact, I was reading some text messages from him. He came to our film festival in New York in 2011. We opened at Do Duni Char. And after that, so he was pretty difficult at that time. And I realized actually Neetu was the sane one who sort of kind of stabilized him. Really, she was just say was completely like a saint. But, you know, he had my cell phone number, and he would call me every time he would pass by New York, and we went out to drinks. A few times I had drinks with him in his house in Bombay. But the thing was that I would never consider him a close friend. I think my emotional association with Rishi Kapoor relates to my own teenage years, you know, when I was sort of reaching 18, 19, and then I was younger. You know, when Bobby came out, I was much younger. I was still in school. It's that time period, and we remember that beautiful moments that we like these actors so much, and we are mourning that loss because there was that innocence that we had, and that innocence is gone. And you know, there was a completely new, different Rishi now as an actor, and I would still enjoy watching him. As Mulk mein, he was fantastic. I mean, I thought he was fantastic in Mulk. Kapoor and Sons, he was a little over the top, but I thought he was fantastic. But our memories take us back to, as you said, Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi, Qarz. Our memories take us back to how much we enjoyed watching him on the screen. Sure. I think I wrote someplace, I don't know what I wrote, I've been tweeting also so much that, you know, these people are like, we feel they are close friends, although we hardly know them, because we would go to the movie theaters and we would visit. It was almost like visiting our friends in their homes.
Which is true. And then talking about friends in their homes, Shubhra made a very interesting statement about Irfan. He always came back with us. We saw him in the films, and we brought a part of Irfan with us home. Again, you know, someone I knew, you've written a book on him. His loss also, and so young, 53. I mean, 53, 67, 14 years between them, both too young to go. So about Irfan, I mean, as you wrote the book, you said you didn't meet him much, but you've written a whole book. So, you know, when you're writing, you also see the person in a different light. So as a film critic and as a writer, what were the two aspects of Irfan you saw?
You know, the thing is about Irfan especially is, I mean, because I ended up writing the book, and I sort of started to write the book just when I signed the contract, he had just announced that he had the tumor and that he was gone. And then I spoke to him a few times, we WhatsApped, and, you know, but he couldn't give me interviews. But, you know, when you spend like almost 2 years researching, writing, reading about this person, watching his films again, interviewing a whole range of people who knew him, had worked with him, you really get very close to the person. And, you know, that's why I would only write a book if I really like or care for that actor. And it's really, you know, it's the weird thing is that after, especially with Irfan, you know, people have been sending me condolence messages as if I've lost somebody close to me. But initially I was like, "मुझे क्यों कह रहे हो भाई?" But it is true actually, because I felt very close to him without him actually realizing how close I felt to him. Yeah, Irfan's death was, I still start to cry when I look at. So yesterday, this friend of mine, Sumit Purohit, did a mashup of clips of some of Irfan's best films, which I posted on Twitter and my Facebook post also. It's a fantastically edited piece, and he's put the opening music of Namesake and the clips of Namesake and Lunchbox and Pansing Tomar and the range of Irfan's films. अगर आप रोओगे नहीं देखते तो आपने इंसान नहीं है really. You will have to cry because it just touches you so much, because those are the roles that you like. As Shubhra said, we took him home every time with those the character of Ashok Ganguly, for instance, Namesake. I mean, partly because I had read the book also before, partly because I had lived in New York for like almost more than 3 decades, 3.5 decades before I started spending more time in India. I very personally connected to Ashok and Ashima's characters, then finally we saw them as Irfan and Tabu. Even though my journey as an immigrant to America was very different than theirs, but still, I also went as a student, he also went as a student. And so even in the film, every time I watch the film, you cry buckets when Irfan's character dies, But, but you didn't expect that to happen in real life, really. We get the line between the character, the person on the screen, the actor, and us becomes very thin. And we just, it's like, I'm sitting and looking at you and you looking at me kind of a thing. We get very close to people. And then when they're gone suddenly, and Irfan was left too soon, it's just very hard to put it in words also what that emotional feeling is.
It is true. And also, sometimes when you are in the business of news, I have read the news, I've covered entertainment, you get a bit desensitized, but I'm not kidding you. I have written obituaries. I've written obituaries of many people. But there was always that distance. I didn't know them. I was just doing something mechanical. But Irfan and Rishi, I actually cried. And for 3 days, I have been a little shaky. And I just want everything to be okay with the world. It's like the line got blurred. And yesterday, Amrish Puri's grandson said something very interesting. He said, Dadu and Irfan worked in Bharat Ki Ek Khoj, and Irfan would never go home. So Amrish Puri said, Tum ghar kyun nahi jate ho? He says, Main kalakar hu. Kalakar ghar nahi jate. He kept observing people on the set and he had a small role. But, that's the man he was. So when you talk about his performances, yes, Ashok Ganguly, Lunchbox, he told me, log mujhe meri umar se pehle hi buddha karna chahte hain. And then Piku's Rana was bang opposite of something you've never ever seen Irfan do. So your personal favorites where he actually made an impact. He did with every film, but personal favorite.
My personal favorite that made an impact? It's a films that they mentioned. I think Namesake probably more than anything else. Lunchbox definitely. Unfortunately, Namesake is not streaming in India anymore. It was on Hotstar last year when I was writing the book. Namesake. Lunchbox is on Netflix. I love Pansing Tomar. I think it's a very, also there's an adventure in it. It's like a big sort of a almost like an epic scale film, the way Tigmanshu conceived of it. Given the fact it was so difficult for them to make the film, and they lost, they made the film around the time when there was in 2008 when there was a recession and everybody had to take a pay cut and everything else, but under very difficult circumstances. But it was a film that Tigmanshu had been wanting to make since the time he read about Pansing Tomar, when Tigmanshu was working on Bandit Queen. And 94 से he had been telling Irfan कि ये film बनाऊंगा और I'm going to cast you. And क्या performance है उसकी Irfan में उसमें. Piku, my God, I've seen it about 5-6 times. And in November I was at the Goa Film Festival one evening. I didn't know what film to watch, and I went and watched Piku again. So utterly charming. It's like such an effortless performance. I mean, I think Piku also, we all connect because if you're a Delhi person, as you and I are really, the fact that it's set in Chittaranjan Park and it's a Bengali family, we recognize them immediately. And Irfan's look on his face every time, this disbelief कि मैं कहाँ फंस गया हूँ between this bickering father and daughter. And every time he looks at, Deepika, she even says to him a couple of times, "Why are you looking at me?" Like, "Why are you looking at me?" kind of a thing. Yeah, Piku's lovely. There's this, it's such great dialogue. There's a scene toward the end of Piku when they go out, both Deepika and Irfan, and they go to the Ganga Ghats, and they're eating something, I think like a kathi rolls, I forget, or ice cream or whatever. And she starts to talk about how when parents grow old, they become children and you have to take care of them. And he's asked her why would you won't get married, and she turns to him and she says, "Karoge mere saath shaadi?" And he says, "Mata kharab nahi hai mera."
And
only Irfan could do something like that.
True. And talking about Irfan, like we are paying tribute. So I have a friend who was a well-known journalist in the Philippines. I would meet her at these junkets. She put up a post for Irfan saying, "I met him at Irfan during Inferno, and he was so very nice to me." And then also when you see his other work in Hollywood, I mean, here a lot of people, ek film milti hai, so you have them like, he never made any big, as they say, noise about it. But you have to see the rich tributes that have come from there as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
he'd already done a couple of Hollywood films before he did Slumdog Millionaire. So there was a Mighty Heart. Namesake in some ways was a Hollywood production also because it was funded by Fox Searchlight and it traveled rather well. But Slumdog sort of opened the doors for all the lead actors, and Irfan got his agent and manager. But he suddenly jumped to these A-list projects. I mean, we all joke about, a lot of people joke about The Amazing Spider-Man, that Irfan barely had much of a role. His role was cut, for instance. But Jurassic World, I mean, again, not a great film, but it made $1.7 billion. And Irfan has a substantial role in it. Inferno, he has a substantial role in it. And then, then came Lunchbox. He did this lovely series for HBO, which people should watch. And now it's available. It's called In Treatment. It's finally available on Hotstar, where he plays the role of a Bengali widower who has moved to New York after his wife died and living with his son and American daughter-in-law. And he's very depressed. So in Treatment is actually based on a Israeli show where every episode there's a therapist who sits and talks to his client. And so Irfan, there's I think 6 or 7 episodes of Irfan, and it was a very dark, depressing role that he plays. And he talked a lot about this interviews and other people had talked. Most difficult thing he had to do, because he said that he just didn't have the tools to really, there was nothing in his life experience that he could sort of dig it up really to go that dark space. The other problem he had while doing that film was that it was shot, the half-an-hour segments would be like, there would be a 14-minute scene done without cuts. The camera would move around kind of a thing. So he had to memorize his dialogues. And he hadn't done theatre for such a long time. So one evening night, he called Naseeruddin Shah, because Naseeruddin Shah continued to do theatre. And he said, "Ke aap ye kaise, yaad kar lete ho?" I interviewed Naseer, and Naseer said, मैंने सब कहा कि भाई तुम्हारे पास एक रात है करने के लिए, तो अब बस पूरी रात तुम्हें जागना पड़ेगा, तुम्हारी रात तो गई, 1000 बारी पढ़ो, पढ़ के, that's the only way you can memorize your dialogues. But it's a fantastic performance which people really should see, because not many people got to see it in India before that. In Treatment, it's on Hotstar. So बहुत कमाल का काम किया इरफान ने. But the thing is, there was so much more he could do. There's this lovely film he did which was released in 2018 called Puzzle.
Okay.
Didn't come to India. So Puzzle was his first sort of an American indie film he did, where he plays the role of an eccentric, very rich guy. And I think his name is Richard or Peter. He's got some Anglo-Saxon name. There's nothing in the dialogue and the script to identify him as an Indian man. So it was interesting that the producers cast an Indian actor because he was so well known. And Kelly MacDonald plays the role of this very depressed, bored housewife, and she's very good at jigsaw puzzles, and they become jigsaw puzzle partners in competition. It's a lovely film. I don't know how people can access it in India because it hasn't opened up, it's not streaming anywhere. So he was doing I think Irfan, what was very important was he loved the challenge. You mentioned that एक फिल्म करते हैं लोग तो तक शोर मचाते हैं. इरफान ने कभी शोर नहीं मचाया कि मैंने इतनी सारी हॉलीवुड फिल्म्स करी. He was doing it, पैसे मिल रहे थे, everybody knows that, but he was doing it for the experience. He wanted newer and newer challenges. I mean, Jurassic
Yeah.
World, he wears these very shiny suits, etc., and drives these fancy cars. He wanted to have that experience of being an actor or doing that, you know, not just like a Pansing Tomar kind of a gaon wala character. And he,
True.
yeah.
And that's what he told me. He says, I like the engagement. He says, the kind of engagement that will make people wonder. And he also said, I'm so happy these days you don't have to spell out everything to the audience. He says, back in the day, I was told spoon feed, act badly, spoon feed the audience. So, and also you've written the man, the dreamer, and the star. Were they different or were they the same for Irfan? That's the title of your book.
Well, there is a certain amount of difference and there's a demarcation. I mean, I was trying to look at who this person was basically because he comes from a very humble middle class background in Jaipur, where cinema and theater was really not something people would talk about. His father had a tire business, although his father was more interested in just going hunting and stuff like that. His mother was much more in control of the family. He was the oldest son. The mother wanted him to stay on in Jaipur and get a job as a teacher, a professor in university, and then stay with the family. But he had dreams. So this man who comes from this very humble background, really, he'd seen a few films. He had an idea about the kind of acting that the Naseeruddin Shah and Om Puri were doing, the kind of opportunities they were getting, and he wanted that. And his only avenue open for him was to apply to National School of Drama because at that time the Pune Institute, the Film Institute, the Television Institute, was not offering acting courses. So the only acting courses he could do was the National School of Drama. He lied his way because as I said, he had dreams of acting in films, but he lied his way because they asked you specifically, are you going to act in plays? And he said, yes, I'll do theater. But the dreams actually it's his dreams that kept him sort of quote unquote alive, really. His 1990 was a big struggle period for him. He was in Bombay, Sutapa and he were already together. They were married at some stage. They were poor because he was doing television work and paise milte the. But it was completely eating him. He was so dissatisfied with his work. And he really, really wanted something bigger, an opportunity to explore the actor with him. And that was his dream. And he lucked out eventually that Tingmanchi Dhulia was casting for The Warrior. And Asif Kapadia's first film. Usse pehle Irfan had done a few films. Choti Moti, Govind Delani ki kuch filmein kari thi usne. He was, supporting roles in Ek Doctor Ki Maut. He was in Drishti. But when he got The Warrior didn't travel, in India didn't travel much at all. In America also, there were some big problems with Miramax. But it got a lot of recognition because it got BAFTA nominations and it won 2 BAFTA awards also. But for 2-3 months, Irfan was able to finally live with this character. Because he, as an actor, more than anything else, he wanted to be satisfied and he wanted to grow. And that film gave him the chance to do. And then immediately after that, he acted in Hasil, and then the doors opened for him with Maqbool and everything else. The star that Irfan became, when you ask me whether they're different, at some stage, yes, Irfan became. His stardom was also very interesting. I mean, that, and you've interviewed him probably much more than I have because, I haven't lived in India for that long, really. When it comes to talking to about their films with journalists, actors sort of behave in a certain way. But Irfan was always very approachable.
Yes.
I mean, as he became a star, as he got more money, kapde zyada achhe pehne lage, style aa gaya usme. He was living very well in Bombay, Mud Island mein the, Bombay he had a farmhouse. He gave a good life to his children and his wife. The polish that came in him, especially moving around in Hollywood. And that stardom was very interesting, that he was still a very shy person. There's a comment he makes about how he was nominated for the Independent Spirit Awards for Namesake. And wo Independent Spirit Awards hote hain, one day before Oscar, they're held in the afternoon and under a big tent. They pitch on a beach in Santa Monica. And Dustin Hoffman was sitting in front of him. And, people knew Namesake by that time. He was still so awkward to approach Dustin Hoffman. Or like when they were shooting in Treatment a few years later in New York, and he and Aditya Bhattacharya, Babla, who had directed him in a couple of films, was one of the he was working for the with the show. He and one of the producers, they were having lunch together. Mark Ruffalo was sitting on a table next to them with the family members, and Irfan really felt this need to go and connect with him and say hello. And it was that awkwardness that he didn't approach. And then, Aditya also said, I don't know him that well. And then as it happened, as Mark was leaving with his family, turned to Irfan, shook hands with him and said, hey, man, I'm a big fan of yours.
Wow.
So Irfan, there was that shy man from Jaipur sitting in a restaurant in Manhattan now. And he knew that he had become a star. People recognized him after, especially Slumdog Millionaire के बाद लोगों ने पहचाना शुरू कर दिया था. But फिर भी उसको, there was that awkwardness, like how do I reach? And then the other stars and actors would approach him and tell him, we are your fans.
So true, because when Namesake happened, I shot on the set. So, I mean, I have that rapport with Meera, who invited. I had to cover the premiere. She said, get your parents. I introduced them to Irfan. Irfan was not well known then. After the premiere, they told me, they said, that guy who played Ashok Ganguly sat with us over dinner because we were all by ourselves. And so was he, because nobody was hounding him. They were all hounding Tabu. That was the man he was. And these are just memories. Like with me, he would ask, "Aap kya pad rahi hain?" I would vent out about the world. He would give some kissa. So that's it. He was approachable.
He was very, very, very approachable. And he has a very funny story that he talks about. When he went for the premiere of Namesake, he brought his mother to Bombay from Jaipur for the premiere. And after the end of the film, then he walked up to his mother and said, "Kaisi lagi aapko film?" So his mother said, "Kaun hai tumhari director?" So he said, "Wo Meera hai, wahan khadi hai, wahan pe." So he said, the mother apparently said, "Usko bulao, yahan bulao." Irfan said, "Kyun?" She said, "Main usse baat karna chahti hu. Mera beta hi mila tha usko marwane ke liye film mein."
Oh, God.
Meera had a big laugh about it. But, yeah, poor man. He slept. He's gone so soon. We knew he was unwell. We knew, I'm repeating myself, but I didn't realize that he would die so soon.
Which is true. But then they say, legends indeed live on forever. And both of them, timeless. And there is the work that will speak for themselves long after they're gone. I'm sure up there, God is having a great film. He's got Irfan, he's got Rishi, he's got Sridevi, he's got Vinod Khanna. Chandni Part 2.
I mean, look at, in Hollywood, look at somebody like James Dean. He only made 3 films. And he's still the stardom of James
East of Eden, Rebel with the Cause, the giant. He's remembered.
Yeah. And people still consider him to be one of the greatest. Yeah.
As I said, those who die young never grow old.
Yeah.
They said that for James Dean.
But they always look, they'll stay young for us in the films. So we can sort of always revisit Rishi Kapoor in Cars and say like, oh my God, how fantastic is it?
Hum kisi se kam nahi, the medley. That's when I sobbed. When I saw him dancing to Dil Kya Mehfil Hai Tere Liye.
मैं देखता हूँ आज उसके गाने भी देखता हूँ. मेरे बॉबी खत्म करने वाला हूँ.
ठीक है. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And Buddha, please don't call me sir.
Okay, thank you. See, bye bye.
We'll talk to you. Bye bye. Thank you.